Good morning and welcome to another episode of Leon County Today with Sheriff Walt McNeil. And Sheriff, I know this is one of those shows that you're excited about because this one is focused on the youth in our community, which I know is a passion of yours.
Yes, Shonda, there's nothing more important in my way of looking at things than the children. And we talk about the children are our future. And most of us are parents and we're siblings and all those things that make up family. But at the very essence of who we are the children of our communities. And if we're going to be successful in anything, we have to build a community that embraces our kids and get our children prepared for their role as the next leaders of our society and our communities. And that's why I'm so passionate about trying to make sure that we give children the opportunity that we all would like to have, which is to be as wholesome, as engaged, and grow up in a world where they're loved and cared for. And that's what we try to do with our youth department of Leon County Sheriff's Office, is focus on those kids and see if we can't make sure that their lives are better because of their engagement with their community, and particularly their engagement with the Leon County Sheriff's Office. Right,
and we're talking today about a brand new unit within the office that you created. This is our Juvenile Investigations Unit. And coming from your background with the Department of Juvenile Justice, former secretary there, why was this something with your involvement in the community that you felt was necessary?
Well, first and foremost, it's about trying to, as I said before, make sure we take care of our kids. But all the data tells us that if a child has a negative interaction, we call it ACEs now, the number of adverse childhood experiences that child may have will drive them further and further into the criminal justice system. So obviously, if we can have those interventions take place at an early point in their lives so that they don't experience those types of things, they're going to more likely be a contributing citizens in our community. And I'm very concerned, obviously, about what happens with these kids and then why they get involved with us, and then how we then arrest and keep them going into the criminal justice system. So anything we can do on the front end, anything we do to prevent, and that's why our youth services department is so important to our community. We think we can, not only can we stop the issue of crime in our community and drugs and the shootings, but we can drive our crime rate really down if we can deal with this generation of kids so that they're not the next generation of people going into our prisons.
That's right. Those children become adults. And so if we can start it early, the outcomes are much better.
Absolutely. No question about it.
All right, we're going to get into this topic today. We've got one of our captains here to tell us more about the Juveniles Investigations Unit, so be sure to stick around for that. But first, let's check in with Sergeant Shade McMillan for a Crime Tip Tuesday.
Hello, everyone. This is Deputy Shade McMillan, your Public Information Officer for the Leon County Sheriff's Office, and here's today's Crime Tip Tuesday. Summer is right around the corner, and school is out in a couple of weeks. Here's some summer safety tips for kids. Keep watch over children to prevent drowning, regardless if you have a pool or visit a community pool. Look for signs of heat exhaustion. Cases of heat stroke spike during the summer months, which is life-threatening in children. Protect skin from the sun. Young skin burns quicker and can lead to severe burns. Drink enough water and stay hydrated. Stay safe out there.
Before you throw away those unused medicines,
those pills for your back pain or migraines,
just think for a minute. When you throw them in the trash, they can become lethal in the wrong hands.
There are better ways to dispose of your unused meds.
There are lots of police stations, local pharmacies, and hospitals that are approved to take in unused meds
and dispose of them safely, so they don't end up in the wrong hands. Our hands.
To find a medicine disposal site near you, visit www.safe.pharmacy.
Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. You can always find people who are helping. Thank you to all the first responders who put their lives in danger to help us when my brothers and sisters need them. We look out for the helpers because they look out for us. Thank you, first responders! Thank you, first responders! Love you! Mwah.
Be safe, look after yourself, and look after one another.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information, report the call at OIG juvenile.ssa.gov.
Joining me now is Captain Bobby Green with our Youth Services Department. Captain Green, today we're talking about our new Juvenile Investigative Unit. Tell us, what's the purpose of that unit?
Well, the purpose of the unit is basically to focus on the juvenile youth in our community. Statistics show across the nation, also across the state of Florida, as well as Leon County, that our youth are involved in a lot of criminal activity at a very young age. So this unit was devised to try to focus on those juvenile youth, those repeat offenders, and also those at-risk offenders, to try to steer them away from that criminal activity, also at the same time also enforce laws. So I think the juvenile is our future. We say that so often in our community and speaking, that the juvenile, the next generation will lead as well. So we need to make sure we focus on them now and try to get them steered in the right direction.
You know, it's so important that the people we place in the working with juveniles. Not everybody can work with kids in an effective way. So talk to me a little bit about how is the unit made up, and who are the people that make up our youth unit? Well,
we're glad you asked me that, Sheriff. Right now, currently, we have 3 detectives assigned, and I say detectives because they have been through our DTO program, which is our Detective Training Officer program, which is they're certified to work cases that are assigned by patrol. They were pretty much handpicked because of either their background, their interest in juvenile, their interest in juvenile youth programs, their interest in everything that deals with juveniles. So, myself, I was a prior coach, so I love dealing with kids. I love focusing on kids and giving them the direction they need. So this unit was created in that aspect also the same. These people have to have a real drive of want to help juveniles in the community.
Now, how does this unit differ perhaps from, everybody says, we got school resource deputies. Everybody knows about our resource deputies, but how does this unit differ from school resource deputies?
Well, the school resource deputies, as you know, I'm over that unit, they're in the schools and they have hands-on contact with these kids in school settings. The JIU unit, the detectives in this unit, they will have contact with juveniles not only within schools and mentorship, but they also have contact outside of school. They'll make home visits. They'll go to probation offices and make contact with them there. They'll make contact with them at sporting events and high school events where they see them out and they'll talk to them, interact with them. They might go to their home. So this unit will not only have that interaction with them in the schools, but they'll be outside of the schools, which is so imperative of getting your point across to juveniles, because in schools we have the kids 7 hours a day, and there's still more hours in the day that you need to have influence on them. So there's times where they go astray. So we want to try to hone in and try to focus on them away from school when they might be engaging in criminal activity.
Okay. Now, I absolutely believe this is perhaps one of the best units. I often say if I had one unit I'd love to be over, it would be the youth unit. What kind of value do you see, and do the deputies see this as an effective tool in terms of fighting crime?
Well, and always when you're initiating a new program or a new unit, there's always questions. So you have to give them direction. They have to know soundly which direction we're going at. They're hard drivers. They want to see a difference in the community, like I say. So they are going to do whatever it takes to get to these juveniles. And this unit is not a one diversity unit. I mean, we can be proactive and reactive. So we want to try to stop the recidivism of juveniles, but also if you can make impacts on younger siblings in the house or themselves. So we like to be diverse. So we're going to try to expand it, whether it means going into the house and playing basketball with a kid or having a cookout neighborhood. But then again, also we have to take law enforcement action. So there are some juveniles that are repeat offenders that we must be forceful on. We must have a set guideline of how we're going to deal with those juveniles.
And we have relationships with probation and parole with the detectives as well?
Yes, we're trying to partner with other people in the community with like minds like ourselves that see the problem of juveniles. So we partner with probation parole. As you know, probation officers going through house checks. So we're partnering with them to go to make sure juveniles have sanctions sometimes where they have curfews and they have to be inside their home. So we will go along with the probation officer when they call us to make sure that the juvenile is abiding by their sanctions of their what they've been abided by.
Hold that thought. Thank you, Captain Green, for that. Up next, prevention and intervention. How our Juvenile Investigation Unit engages youth in the fight against crime. Stay tuned.
Some things in your medicine cabinet are more dangerous than others. When it comes to prescription drugs, opioid pain medicines can be addictive and even deadly. Half the people who misuse prescription pain medicines get them from a friend or family member. Be part of the solution. Go through your medicine cabinets, drawers, anywhere you keep unused opioid pills, patches, or syrups. Find out how to dispose of them safely. Visit fda.gov/drug disposal.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
1 in 3 women will be victims of sexual violence in their lifetime.
So will 1 in every 4 men.
But we can all help in the fight against sex crimes.
Don't look the other way. If you see something, say something.
And don't blame the victim.
No means no. Parents, be vigilant. Know who lives in your neighborhood.
And if you are a victim, please get help.
Let's be all in.
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 To stop sexual violence.
In times of stress, such as quarantine, what goes on behind closed doors can be terrifying, but you don't have to suffer in silence. Help is here. Love is not controlling. Love is not frightening. And love is not violent. Love is respect. If you need assistance or just want to talk, we are here. Contact the Domestic Abuse Hotline at 800-500-1119 to speak to someone in your area. For more information, visit thedvcc.org.
We're back with LCSO Captain Green, talking about our new Juvenile Investigative Unit. Captain Green, this unit focuses on prevention and intervention, but also enforcement. Let's talk for a minute about the enforcement aspect of our juvenile unit.
There are some juveniles that we know that have recidivism that's over the rate that we want to see. So those are ones we can't really focus on. We try to focus on the prevention. I think it is an important component in this aspect. And the intervention part, can we reach those ones that's just on the verge of falling off into the other side of the railroad, as you might say? You know, every juvenile, young youth in Tallahassee, they might come to those crossroads where they have to make a decision. We're hoping that we as this unit can help them divert that decision to be the good path instead of the bad path.
Now, you talk about the enforcement piece. Can you talk about juvenile investigative unit without talking about gangs? Talk to us about what interventions we would have with gangs.
I had this debate years ago when I worked in school resource as a sergeant, and people don't understand that the sheriff's office, we all wear the same uniform, we all have the same vision, we all do the same thing. Technically, that's the definition of a gang, but we don't commit criminal acts, of course. So to get people to understand that there are gangs in Tallahassee. People think that Tallahassee is obsolete to the crimes and the influences of all around the nation, but we're not. That's the battle we have. Our unit is structured. We want to get it up and going, the structure where it's sound and have established sets of goals, but we have to figure out, we're in battle against those elements, the gang members. That's, hey, don't worry about the sheriff, so don't worry about that the detectives trying to get you to go straight. This is what we want to do. We have a family here we're going to bring in. So that's the ongoing battle, because we have maybe an hour, 2 hours contact with them when they have the rest of the day.
Okay. Now, generally speaking, with our school resource deputies and our youth investigative unit, what kind of progress are we making in terms of getting youth crime down in Leon County?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I look at the crime trends in our stats. Our stats are going down. We try to contribute that to a lot of things, whether it's the influence that we have on juveniles, or either it is the non-recidivism rate of those juveniles that are committing crimes. The crime trends are usually when we see a crime occur in a specific part of town, and then that crime goes down, we can contribute that to making an arrest, and that's enforcement. But on the other hand, it also might be that positive interaction. You spoke earlier about that negative interaction with law enforcement. I think the positive interaction, which is us in uniform on campuses and school resource, and also this unit that can go out to the house and make those type of presence known inside of homes where they can see the good side of law enforcement.
Yeah, let's talk about that more, Captain. Talk about more of the intervention type things we're doing in Lynn County Sheriff.
Well, we're trying to mentorship. We have our JI unit, they go out to certain schools, designated schools that have youth that need to be contacted. So we're going out to the schools and we have a mentoring program. We also are trying to establish a juvenile youth advisory committee, which we have, which is similar to an adult advisory committee, but it's juvenile. We want to hear what the juveniles think about law enforcement, how they perceive us, what are some problems, how can we fix the gap that's bridged between juveniles and law enforcement. So these are some of the things we want to reach out, we want to get answers, we want to get feedback from those people that's in the community.
Let's talk a minute about prevention. We talked about the crime issue, the crime fighting, the interventions. What about prevention? In about a minute.
In about a minute, we just have to be diligent in our efforts to try to get out and be seen and try to be seen and let people know in the community that we're here to help. We can provide assistance, that there are a lot of assistance that we can provide. The prevention part is a very, very important component also, that we must try our best to try to prevent these crimes from happening. Once the crimes occur, there's nothing we can do, but we can prevent them. It can help us out in the future.
Well, Captain Green, as always, thank you for all the work you do in your whole unit, and we really appreciate it. And we can't get this done without your help and the help of all the deputies and staff of the Leon County Sheriff's Office. Just ahead, Cycling for a Cause, how these riders are raising awareness about line of duty deaths in law enforcement. Stay tuned.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know, wherever you are.
I've been driving a truck for 40 years now. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. Like that trucks can't stop quickly. It takes my 80,000-pound truck 200 yards to come to a complete stop. So I always do my best to give a lot of cushion. It helps when other drivers realize that and do the same. Please give trucks the space we need so we can all stay safe. It's our roads, it's our safety.
Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. Can always find people who are helping. Thank you to all the first responders who put their lives in danger to help us when my brothers and sisters need them. We look out for the helpers because they look out for us. Thank you, first responders! Thank you, first responders! Love you! Mwah.
Be safe, look after yourself, and look after one another.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join. I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture. It helped me get my job, helped me pay for my house. Being part-time really helped because I could have some opportunities that were still in education.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service.
Natural disasters are a fact of life in the U.S. And between activities and school, chances are you won't be with your kids when they happen. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids can help your children feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Obviously, when Chris Smith was killed, it was tough on the entire agency, as well as obviously his family. I found out about the Unity Tour and the purpose of the Unity Tour. As a way of keeping their memory alive, or the survivors, to talk about the story of Chris to other riders. So I decided I was going to try to get involved in it and bought a bike. I didn't have a road bike at the time, so bought a bike, started riding with a lot of the other officers or retired officers that do the ride around Tallahassee. We would practice and did my first tour in 2018. We rode into Washington, just the unbelievable support that we get from the Washington area was overwhelming. Seeing the wall, that every name of every officer that's killed in the line of duty was definitely inspiring.
seeing how much it mattered to the survivors, that we are doing it and that we're continuing to tell the story of their loved one that was lost. If that means just anything to them, it's worth doing it. The purpose of the Unity Tour essentially is to raise money for the wall and for the museum in Washington. It's just that simple. So every dollar we raise goes to benefit the wall and keeping that property in the museum, that the survivors have a place to go back to each year during Police Week. So obviously this year is different. The amount of mileage that we did this year, which was 357 miles over 4 days, was more than the typical tour. Typically it's around 260 through the mountains of Virginia. So the way it works is you have chapters around the country, and you can apply to be a part of whatever chapter you want. And all the chapters meet in Washington on the final day together. Our chapter 8 has usually around 150 riders. The total amount, I would say, was closer to 3,000 riders total that will ride into Washington to the memorial. So yeah, we've stretched beyond the United States. It's definitely a nationwide, plus UK, and we're trying to expand even further. We want officers from all over the country to honor the officers that are killed, and if we get a chance, we're going to go over to London and do their Unity Tour ride, because they do one as well over in England. When you start to see the survivors and you have conversations with them and they're able to talk about their loved one that they lost, I think that's really impactful, and that they care that we're doing this. It's not like, thank you. They really care. They want us to continue to honor Chris. Erica told us, at one point, I don't want him just to be a picture on the wall. She wants people to talk about him, and that's one thing you start doing when you're riding with other survivors, is they tell their story. And so she understands that we all talk about Chris that knew him during the ride, so other riders get to hear his story. And so we continue to grow Chris's story to as many people as we can, so he's never forgotten. So that's why it matters a little bit more to me as well, is it keeps that story going, and we keep talking about him. If an officer sees this or hears this and you can't ride, or if you're not sure if you can, is to try it. You can always rent a bike and you can ride with us and see what you think, because the biggest surprise for me was riding into Washington and seeing the impact from the city and the people that respond. They completely undersold it to me as the experience itself. It was really overwhelming. The whole experience makes it worth the suffering on the bike ride. And we honestly joke about suffering because we're alive to suffer. And so we joke, it was 47 degrees and raining on our last day up in Washington a couple years back, and we were all just laughing like, it can't get that much worse. But we were all doing it together for a great cause, and it made it even more worthwhile to get to Washington and celebrate.
Why? Why do we ignore the things that give us pause, that seem out of place, that don't feel right? The answer to why defines who we are. So if you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my friends.
For my community.
For my family.
For each other. Because all of this matters. We all have something worth protecting. So why do you see safe? Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
Every year, the Salvation Army serves nearly 30 million people in need. That's one person every second. So by the time you've finished watching this, 30 more lives will have been changed for good. All thanks to your donations.
Thank you.
Give today.
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Brother!
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie, nailed it. We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Greg, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Welcome back to Leon County Today with Sheriff Walt McNeil. And Sheriff, I think our viewers learned a lot today about our new Juvenile Investigations Unit and all the different components.
Oh, absolutely. I was really thrilled at the detail that Captain Green shared with us. I'm happy in the direction our unit's going. I know that we got a lot of work to do, and like most things, when it's new, it's some trial and error. And I think our effort with respect to the advisory council from the youth in our community is going to help us kind of horn in on what problems we've got that we're not addressing currently. But I'm hopeful, though, that with our community's engagement and with their assistance, we can start turning a corner. I'm really excited. I can't tell you about the Children's Services Council that was just put in place by the voters of Leon County. And we're going to work with those folks as well in terms of how we deal more effectively with the youth of our community.
Absolutely. And talking about that community component, you know, we've got the summer season coming up where kids are going to be out of school. They're going to have a lot of more time on their hands. So what's the message to parents out there?
Well, you know, it's always the same kind of thing for us, is make sure your kids are engaged. Know that you are involved with your children's lives. I mean, I never try to tell another parent how to parent, but there are some basic things to keep their children safe, and that is to know where they are, particularly even when they are 18 and 17, 18 years old. You should know where they are, who their friends are, have conversations with their friends, talk to them about what the issues in life are. One, try to emphasize that in many instances in some communities that the cops are not your enemies.
No.
We've got good police officers, good deputies out there, and they try to help as much as they can. And if they can see parents modeling that behavior of interacting with law enforcement, the kids will see that as well. And we have to do our part too in law enforcement, that is to be able to engage with our citizens where they are and empathize when we can with respect to the plight in life that they have. And but it takes two, and it takes the Leon County Sheriff's Office and all of law enforcement working with the citizens of Leon County.
Being all in.
All in, that's
all in
it.
indeed. All right, thank you, Sheriff, and thank you all for joining us for another episode. We'll see you back here next Tuesday.